And we're live. Good evening, everyone, and welcome back to another Microsoft NextGen Heroes session. It's really great to see so many of you joining us today. And really, as always, our goal with these sessions is very simple. Bring real builders from the industry and learn how things actually work behind the scenes. So that's why today's session is especially exciting because we're diving into something that's becoming central to modern AI development, and that is building end-to-end agents with Copilot Studio. So, and to guide us through this, we've joined by an incredible speaker, Chiara Carbone, who will show us how to combine knowledge sources, agent flows, and computer use to build a complete Copilot Studio agent. But before that, before we get into the session a bit more, let's see the agenda of the day. So basically, as usual, we are going to introduce the host of the day. So to all of you who are new to this community and are joining us for the first time, you'll get the chance to know us a bit better. Then we'll speak a bit about Microsoft Learn, Microsoft Communities, and what is the process of becoming a member of a Microsoft community, especially Microsoft NextGen Heroes or the Microsoft Zero to Hero community, which is our mother community. Then the moment that you've all been waiting for is our special guest, and she'll step up on stage just a few minutes after our initial welcome to all of you here. And then at the end of the session, as always, we'll have a Q&A session where you'll have the chance to ask our special guest any question that may bother you during the session. So a little bit about me. So hello, everyone, again. My name is Bojan Ivanovski. I'm a software engineer and also a current master's student in AI and big data in Barcelona. I'm also a Microsoft Learn student ambassador, a role that enables me to spread tech vibes everywhere we go. And together with Nicholas and Marco, we are also part of the Microsoft Zero to Hero community, where we have formed our own student community named Microsoft NextGen Heroes. Something about my passions, I would say that I'm definitely very passionate about DevOps and especially the cloud environment. But currently, I'm also dealing with AI because really it's a field that is growing rapidly, and all the AI tools, especially the Azure AI Foundry and the Azure AI tools, are really amazing to be used. And I'm really currently very much present in that world, and I really love to explore all of those things. So that was something about me, and now I would like to give the floor to my dear colleague Marco so he can make his proper introduction. Marco?
Yes, thank you, Bojan, for the wonderful introduction for today's session, and thank you all for joining us today. Firstly, my name is Marco Atanasov. I'm currently working as a DevOps engineer at Macedonian Telecom, and I'm currently pursuing my degree in software engineering here in Skopje, Macedonia. I would also like to mention that I love being part of MLSA community and Microsoft Zero to Hero community because I have made a lot of lasting friendships and have improved my professional life drastically as well. So yeah, I would like to keep it short and let the stage to Nicholas.
Thank you, Marco. So, hello everyone. My name is Nicholas. I'm 22 years old. I'm a part of Microsoft NextGen Heroes together with Bojan and Marco. And I love to do everything around Microsoft Intune. So I blog about Intune, speak about Intune at events as well. And lastly, I'm a Microsoft MVP in the area of Intune. So yeah, that's basically where I use a lot of my time. So that's it about me.
Yeah, something really important before we jump into the fun stuff for today. I would like us to speak a minute about Microsoft Learn. So if you haven't joined our community yet, you can do it on techcommunity.microsoft.com. We are part of the Microsoft Zero to Hero Learning Room, where we are around 6,000 members in the community. And in my opinion, it's a great chance for you to get involved and engage with the fellow learners and like-minded individuals. You'll only need to fill out a form and you'll be welcomed into the learning room. And now, today, we will be joined by Chiara Carbona, who will guide us through building a complete Copilot Studio agent, from integrating knowledge sources to designing agent flows. And also, Chiara works extensively with AI and Microsoft Copilot technologies, helping developers and organizations design practical and production-ready AI agents. Chiara, take the stage.
Hello, everyone. My name is Chiara. And yeah, thanks for the introduction. It's great to be here, and I'm really excited to talk about Copilot Studio. Let me share the screen. My presentation. So, yeah, that's me. I am from Switzerland, and I work for a Microsoft partner company called Microtom. And I have been working with Power Platform for several years now, and I really love to work with it. And lately, or for some months now, I have been focusing especially on Copilot Studio, which is also the topic for today, which is what we will explore today. So Copilot Studio has many powerful features, many capabilities. And today I'm focusing on these three because time is limited and we cannot handle all the features. But these are the three key features for today. So the first one is knowledge. That's for grounding our agent in relevant and trusted data. So the agent can then deliver accurate and reliable answers to the users. And then we have agent flows. That's for automation. It's for automating processes through deterministic workflows. I'm going to explain that a little bit later. And then we also have computer use. This is a quite new feature. And when I saw it for the first time, it was last year, I thought, oh, that's really cool. It's currently in public preview, so it's not intended for production, but when I was preparing for this session, I thought I want to add it to the agent. And yeah, it allows agents to perform tasks in applications by interacting with the user interface, such as scrolling, filling in forms, clicking buttons, and so on. And that's perfect for scenarios where you don't have an API available. And yeah, before switching to Copilot Studio, let me introduce the agent that I'm going to present today, I'm going to build today. It's a project financial control assistant. And imagine you're in your organization and you have project managers and they are talking about existing projects and the expenses that come up with it. Then they very quickly will have questions like these. Does the expense fit the budget of the project? Is an approval required? Is the vendor approved? And also in most of the organizations, you can't just post an expense to a project. Project expenses must follow a financial rule and financial processes. And answering all these questions and following those processes, that often requires a lot of manual work across different systems, and it's time consuming. So of course we can create an agent for that handles that automatically. So it handles tasks like check budgets, answer questions about project budgets, also questions about finance policies. And it also applies approval rules, validates vendors, records the project transactions, and so on. So let me switch to Copilot Studio. No, that's Copilot Studio. And as you can see, I have already created an agent, but it's a very basic and initial agent. It has a name and a little description. It also has a very basic initial instruction. So with every knowledge we are going to add and every tool we are going to add, we are also updating the instruction. So the instruction is where we control the behavior of the agent. I also uploaded a logo, so it looks more professionally. And I also, in the settings here, I disabled general knowledge, and I also disabled use information from the web, because for this agent, we don't need that. And whenever you don't need it, you can disable it, because I want this agent to rely on the trusted sources and the trusted data that I connected via the knowledge sources to the agent. I don't want the agent to look up things on the internet or use general AI. That's why I disabled it. Yeah, and then let's talk about the first feature. It's knowledge source. And by uploading knowledge sources to our agent, we are grounding the agent in relevant and trusted data. And that is usually enterprise data. And then the agent is able to answer questions that are context aware, that are reliable, that are accurate. And so when the user asks a question, the agent can then retrieve those data and provide a very good quality answer. So that's also what grounding means. So grounding is the agent can retrieve that relevant, trusted data and then can generate answers from that knowledge sources. And for effective grounding, the user intent is also very important. That's why I have it here. So the knowledge sources should always align with the user intent. So when you start planning an agent and you are choosing the knowledge sources, then always think about what are your users likely to ask the agent, and then choose the right knowledge sources that will provide and have the information for those kind of questions. So let's take our example. So for this agent, I expect my users might ask questions like, what happens if a new bill for a project exceeds the approved limit, the approved budget limit? Who needs to approve the expense, and what are the financial policies? So these are questions that could come up. And to answer these questions, I have prepared a PDF that I then want to upload to my agent, so the agent can use it, and the agent is grounded in this PDF. And yeah, this is my PDF. It's the project financial control policy of that company. And you can see it has different sections, it has definitions, it has a vendor governance section where it's described when a vendor is being considered as being, when a vendor is approved, when it's considered as being approved. It also describes budget governance rules. For example, if the budget is exceeded up to 5%, then a manager approval is required. Or if it's exceeded by more than 5%, an escalation to finance is required. Also has some responsibility. And yeah, I already uploaded that to the agent, because when you upload a PDF, it's split into smaller chunks. And this processing and indexing can take up to, 10 minutes sometimes. For this PDF, it was 5 or 6 minutes. I didn't want us to wait. That's why I already uploaded it. But you always have to check this status here. If it's still in progress, then the agent is ungrounded and you cannot start using it. So you have to wait until it's ready here. You also have to add a description. So here is a proper description, a clear description about what kind of information this PDF has. And because that is for the agent orchestrator, so the agent orchestrator is the decision maker, and it picks the right knowledge sources and the right tools at the right time. And to make it more understandable to the agent orchestrator, you have to provide a really good and clear description. And in general, if you work with Copilot Studio, wherever you see a description field, provide a good and clear description. So it will help AI to understand your data, your tools, and everything you have in the Copilot Studio. Also, to make it better understandable, the document quality is also important. So you can see this PDF it has a nice structure. It's using a title, and it has heading 1, and you could also add heading 2 or heading 3. But it has a nice structure, and we know LLMs love nice structured text. It also uses listing instead of, for example, complex tables. If you have a really large PDF with 500 pages, then split it in smaller PDFs and don't use very complex tables, because that will make it hard for AI to understand your information that you have in the PDF, and you might not get the answers that you expect. Also use one topic, don't mix many topics. Use related domains, but don't use completely different topics in one PDF. And also use standalone statements. If you use see above or see below or see chapter 1 or see heading 4, as I said, Copilot retrieves it in little chunks, and then it's not always the nearby context is not always included, and it then might not work reliably. So then let's do a quick test. I'm going to type here, what happens if a new bill for a project let's see if that works. So it provided the answer, and it also shows that it's from the PDF. So this is exactly what I just showed in the PDF, that when it exceeds up to 5%, manager approval is required, and when it exceeds by more than 5%, the finance approval is required. Can also ask another question that I'm just going to copy. When is a vendor considered as being approved? And that's also the answer from the PDF. There is an approval vendor list that has the status approved, or the vendor is part of that list with the status approved. It doesn't say where I can find that list. That's because I missed that in the PDF. So it's nowhere it's written. So the agent cannot know. But I have here a beautiful list with approved vendors and an approved status. But we are going to add that later. You can also use multiple knowledges and different kind of knowledges. So I'm going to say add knowledge, and I'm going to add Dataverse as well. I'm choosing Dataverse here. And then I'm going to choose project. And coming back to the user intent, I'm adding project because I expect my users to ask questions about project budgets, about project manager, about projects, about project codes, about spend amount, and so on. I also have it here that's the table in the Dataverse, and you can see there are multiple projects with budget, code, and project manager, and also the spend amount that has already been spent for that project. So that's why I'm providing that project table, and I'm adding it to the agent, because I expect my users to ask questions about that. I want to provide that data to my users. And also here, we need a good description. As I said, the agent orchestrator needs a good description to figure out when to use this knowledge source and when to use the other. I'm going to save that. Let's wait. Okay. And then you will notice that it has some capabilities, it's synonyms and glossary terms that only Dataverse knowledge source has. And this as well helps the agent orchestrator to understand your data better. So for example, for budget, I can also add a synonym that makes it clearer to AI. So I'm going to say that's the approved budget, or that's the approved money. And I'm also going to add a description. So let's say done. I'm adding that description here that explains that this is the approved budget for the project, and it's the total amount of money authorized to be spent. I'm going to say save. So this is optional. It's not required, but it's recommended. It makes it easier for, the likelihood that you get better answers is higher if you set it up right. Also for spend, this is, it's quite a good name, but I don't know if it's 100% clear to AI, and it might not match how users are talking about it. So I'm going to add also some synonyms, like this is spending, it's expenses, it's actual costs, and actual, I think that's good. Also going to add a description. And then I'm going to save it. So when your column names are, here it's a pretty good name, but I have seen Dataverse tables where the column names are completely something different. For example, if your column name is FLD _07 _AMT, then you need to add synonyms and description, because AI won't understand what kind of data that is, and you will not get the answers you expect. And then glossary terms. So this is especially interesting because you can clarify business terminologies. And for example, I'm going to add BGC. So in a finance context, that might mean background check or budget growth costs. But in this organization, it maybe has a specific meaning. It has a completely other meaning. So I'm going to add the description, what it means for this organization. So in this organization, it means budget governance check. And I'm going to explain what that is. I'm going to say add. So if I expect my users to ask, can you do a BGC? Then I need to add it to the agent, because otherwise the agent doesn't know what a BGC is. So I'm going to say save. Let's wait and see if that worked. Synonyms are there. Detailed description. Good. Going back to the instruction, because now I think it's time to update the instruction a little bit. So I'm going to add some rules. I'm going to copy that, and I'm going to add some rules. You can add whatever you want, whatever fits the agent you want to create. So for example, I want business-friendly answers, and I also want, because now we have the budget amount from the database, so from the Dataverse, and I want the values to be bold, and when asked budget, I also want the spend amount to be returned. So I can add some rules here. I'm also going to add response format. I'm going to say whenever you response something or the agent generates some text for projects, I want it to have a project, then a budget, a spend, and the remaining. I'm going to save that. Yeah, it has been saved. I'm going to open a new test pane and going to ask a question here. What is the budget for mobile app? Mobile app is a project in my Dataverse. Let's see if that works. Okay, yeah, it worked. It also has this format, and the values or the money amount, the currency is bold. Yeah, so that worked. It was retrieved from the Dataverse, from the project table here. And I'm also going to ask another question, maybe. Yeah, the agent cannot answer that yet because it doesn't have access to the vendor list. We're going to add that later via computer use. So I'm asking, is Blue Yonder IT services approved? And now let's see what the agent returns. Yeah, so it says it's not approved because it doesn't have that information yet. So by the way, when I'm saying I'm testing it, I'm only testing it in the test pane here, and it's only a quick test. But if you want to do proper and deeper and better quality test, you can use the evaluation tab here, and you can also test with a test set. So you have, yeah, it's a proper test and a better test than just in the test pane. It's fine. But if you want to do more tests and deeper tests, better quality tests, then you can use the evaluation tab. It's also quite new feature. Yeah. And then now that we added some knowledge sources, we are going to add some tooling to the agent. And we are going to do that via agent flows. So agent flows are a specific tool that allows you to build Power Automate flows that can be used by agents or by Copilot Studio agents. So it's built on Power Automate, and you can also see them under. So if you open the Power Automate portal, you can see them among the other flows that you have there. And yeah, it's just especially made for AI agents, for Copilot Studio agents. So designed for Copilot Studio agents. You create them once and then you can reuse them. So they are reusable, meaning you can add them to multiple agents. It's not only for one agent. And that also makes your business use or your business processes reusable. It's also deterministic. That means the same input provides the same output always. So agent flows follow rules. They don't improvise, they don't guess. So that's a very deterministic flow. It's always the same output. With same input, it's always the same output. This is also agent flows are reusable. That's also a difference from topics. If you have worked with Copilot Studio, you might know topics. There you can also do a little flow, but it's more a conversation flow, and it stays within a single agent. It's not reusable, and you cannot use it for other agents. Let's take our example here. So if the users ask or prompt, we want to spend another $15,000 on a project with the name Mobile App Launch, is this still in budget? So then the agent or the agent orchestrator has to find out if it exceeds the budget or if it's still in budget. But this is not, it shouldn't be a creative task. This is a policy check, and you should not leave it alone to AI reasoning, because then you might risk miscalculation or missed rules. So for that, we need a deterministic flow with agent flows, because we want to do a reliable policy check every time. We still need the knowledge sources, so we still need the PDF, we still need Dataverse knowledges, because the PDF explains the rule, it has the background, it has all the information, but it doesn't force the rule, and it doesn't execute the rule. So for consistent, reliable decisions, we want deterministic flows. And yeah, this is the flow, the agent flow. I'm going to show it in Copilot Studio later, but just quick overview. We have a trigger, and it passes the expense, and then it does some calculation. It calculates the spend plus the expense, the new one. And then I'm going to calculate a budget usage ratio. And if it's under 1, it's within budget. And if it's above, it's approval is required. So the budget ratio shows how much of the project is used after adding the new expense, the new requested expense. And if it's over 1, I know it's an approval is required. And then I'm going to return the approval type. So it can be either none, it can be manager, or it can be finance. And I'm going to return it to the agent so the agent can use it further in the conversation. Let's go back to Copilot Studio. I have already created these flows because you can spend hours with these flows, but I'm going to show you. This is an agent flow. You will also see the agent flows under flows here, and also in the Power Automate portal under among the other flows. And I'm opening the designer. And you can see the trigger here. I'm going to pass the project GUID and also the amount. This is the amount of the bill, of the expense. And then I'm going to get some information like the project and also the policy. So policy is stored also in the Dataverse. I have it here. So I have the manager overrun, which is 1. So I know it's 100% of the budget is used. I know it's above that if it's above the manager overrun. And I also have the finance overrun. And I have the finance approver, which is me. Yeah, so I have these values here, and then I'm calculating here with an expression, the new spend amount, and then I'm calculating the budget usage ratio. And here I want to show you something, because when I did that, I only used Copilot. So if you have a Copilot license, you can use this for creating those expressions. So I'm clicking here, and here I could add my expression and say add or divide or whatever. But here I'm using Copilot to create that expression, and I'm going to say I need the budget usage ratio for the new spend amount. Clicking create expression. Yeah, and you can see it's suggested the expression that is just right. It's a division, like a division of the new spend amount with the budget of the project. I'm going to say okay and adding, and then I have it here. And it's the correct expression that I can use. And then I did some condition here, and I'm saying if the budget usage ratio is greater than the manager overrun, then it's a manager approval. And if the budget usage ratio is greater than the finance overrun, it is a finance approval type. And then I'm returning that back to the agent. So back to the agent, I'm going to add that tool so that you can click here. And then you can say add a tool. And if you haven't created yet, you can say create a new one and then choose agent flow, and then it will bring you to the agent flow, and then you can design it. You can do all these steps. Or I'm going to click here and I'm choosing the agent flow and I'm going to add. Takes some time. Okay. Also here, it's important to add the right description, because based on that, the orchestrator will pick the right tool for the task. I'm going to save that. And something else I'm going to do that makes it easier for AI to understand. For example, here, this is the amount. And it's filled in dynamically with AI, but I'm going to say, this is not a number only, this is also money. And I'm going to save that. And then I'm also updating the instruction. So you don't have to do that, but from my experience, it's better if you give some behavior also, some behavior instructions. And I'm going to copy that. I'm going to say, I'm going to edit. I'm going to add a section about evaluation. And I'm going to say that for any expense or budget evaluation request or posting request, identify the project and the data, project grid from the knowledge, and then run the tool, and I can enter slash, and I can say evaluate project. Project expense flow, this is our agent flow. Now I'm going to say save. And also I'm going to update my response format because, oops, because I also want the proposed spend that the agent knows from the user input and the decision. So when it returns none, I want the agent to display within budget. If it returns manager, I want to display manager approval required, and so on. And I also want a little policy-based reason. Saying save. And yeah, I can do another test in the test pane. I'm going to ask that question that we had in the PowerPoint slide. Let's see if it works. We want to spend another $15,000 on the project with the name mobile app launch. Is this still in budget? Yeah, it triggered the agent flow, and it also retrieved knowledge because it retrieved the project data, the budget from the Dataverse, and it also executed that agent flow, and it said no, none. That means no approval is needed because it's within the budget. Now I'm going to say we want to spend another $150,000. And then again, it triggers the agent flow. and it returns that finance approval is required. And it also returns why it is required, because it exceeds the approved project budget and that it's not within the limit, and a finance approval request is needed. So that worked. Now I also want to add another tool because I want to do I want to record the expenses to the Dataverse. So as you can see here, no, that's wrong. Yeah, here we have project transactions for mobile app launch. So we have 2 transactions that are approved. This is the amount, and together it builds this amount. By the way, this column here is a roll-up column, so it adds the project transactions, the amount of the project transactions. And yeah, now I want to add a tool that adds a new row here to the project transactions. Whenever the user says, yeah, let's do the approval request, and then when it's approved by finance or by manager or whoever has to approve, then add it to the project transaction. So I could go to my agent and say, add a tool, and then choose Dataverse, and then say add a row. But in this case, this is not the best idea because we also need to initiate that approval request. So we need another agent flow. And I've also prepared that. I'm going to say add. And again, under flows, I have here the posting project expense. I'm going to say add and configure. And then I'm updating the description as always. And here I have some more input values. I have the project grid, I have a vendor, I have an amount. Again, going to say this is money. So it makes it easier for AI to understand. And I have also the approval type. This is the approval type I just received from the evaluation agent flow, and I'm going to pass it to the posting agent flow. And here I'm going to say, this is the entity approval type. And this is a custom entity that I have created. And that makes it easier for AI to understand and to pass it in the right format. So it can only be none, manager, or finance. But if in the conversation the user asks, can you do a finance request? I don't want finance request to be passed to the agent flow. I want it to be passed as finance. So I can create custom entities and then choose it here and say identify as. So I make sure it's, yeah, I can do, it's in the right format so the flow can use it. Let's have also a look at the project, like the posting project expense flow. So this is the flow. I'm going to open the designer. And you can see all the input values. And by the way, if you have all these input values and you are just chatting with your agent and you want to do the post and some of the information is missing, for example, you haven't provided the vendor yet, you haven't provided the amount, then the agent is talking, it's prompting you and say, where's the vendor? I also need the vendor. You cannot continue without the vendor, or what is the date? And then I have a switch here. It decides whenever when a manager approval is needed, I'm going to get the manager. And when a finance approval is needed, I'm going to check the budget policy for the finance approval. And then also here, I have start and wait for approval. This initiates an approval request to that person that has to approve. And yeah, let's try it. Before we do the test, I'm also going to update again some of the instructions. Going to add this to the scope. Just giving some more instructions to make it work more reliably. And also I'm going to add something for the posting. So to the evaluation here, I'm going to say, let me tag that. So if the output after the evaluate project expense indicates approval is required, that can be manager or finance, then ask exactly this sentence: do you want me to proceed and initiate the required approval process for this bill? And if it's yes, I want to do the post. Yeah, I think that's all. We can do another test. I'm going again to ask the same question with 150,000. So it triggered the evaluation project expense flow. That's correct. It's returning finance approval required, and it's returning exactly this sentence that I added to the instruction. And then I'm going to say yes. And now it asked me for the vendor name, invoice reference, and invoice date. That are the required fields for the project, for the agent flow that posts the project expense into the Dataverse. So I'm not going to do that because we are now adding our last tool, which uses the computer use, because before I'm posting, I want to do another check. I want to check if the vendor is approved. And as I said, I have this beautiful list here. It's a list of approved vendors, and it's also hidden or locked behind login. So I want the agent to log into this page, type in the username and the password, and then search for that vendor, see if it's approved, and if it's approved, turn it back to the agent, and then do the posting. So for that, I'm going to add another tool, because it's also a tool, saying add a tool, and then I'm going to select computer use. And here just a little side note, it's in preview, which means it's not intended for production use. It's it has some limitation. It has some security and functional considerations, and it's also only available in the US regions. So, but you can still test it. Yeah, then I need an instruction. And the cool thing about computer use is that you don't need to record the clicks, what the user does. It doesn't rely on recordings. You can just add instructions, natural language, and then the agent understands the goal, looks at the screen, and takes the actions. So I'm just copying the instructions And it's very basic. I'm going to say open that website. It's this side. Sign in using the stored credentials. We are going to add stored credentials. And then use the search to find the vendor name and check the status. And then return it, or return the result. Add and configure. And also here, we need a name and a description. So I'm going to say this is the verify vendor approval, and this is the description. So I'm going to say use this tool to verify vendor whenever or whether a vendor is listed on the approved vendor list website. Then I also have an input field that I have to pass. That's the vendor name. Dynamically filled with AI. Here I'm going to choose hosted browser. That is for, yeah, you can start immediately to use that. You don't have to set up any virtual machine or any device, because when you're using computer use, it creates like a Microsoft managed VM and Windows machine, and uses that to do the actions. And if you choose hosted browser, you don't have to set up anything. You can just start immediately without setting up a machine. And then here on the stored credentials, I'm going to add the stored credentials to log into that website. The login username is demo, and then the password. And I also have to provide the login domain. I'm going to copy that and insert here. You can also choose between internal storage and Azure Key Vaults. I'm using internal storage here. I think Azure Key Vaults might be the better option, but both is securely stored. And the first one is stored in the Power Platform storage, and yeah, that's okay. So this credential can be used by computer use during the execution, and you don't have to provide. There is no human interaction needed. It does that by itself. Yeah, I think that's good. It looks pretty simple. It's very easy. Just a few instructions. The only thing I'm going to do now is I'm going to update the instructions of the agent. Going back here to the overview, and then I'm going to add something for the agent, for the vendor approval. And I'm going to say do a vendor check. Say before posting any bill, ensure the vendor is approved and evaluation was done. If the approval is not already known, run the tool. I'm going to tag that. And only run the tool verify vendor approval if you know the name of the vendor. And if the tool returns not approved, stop and inform the user that the vendor is not approved. You can say save. Now let's see if it works. Going to do a test with the same input. Going to copy that and let's say 150,000. Yeah, so it did an evaluation, that's correct. And then it tells me that it needs a finance approval, and I'm saying, okay, yes, please proceed. And now it asks me for the vendor name. And let's say I have a bill here, and again, I can go and copy the name of the vendor, and let's just say, yeah, that's the vendor. Let's say this. And now it triggered the verify vendor approval, which is the computer use tool. And it tells me that computer use will begin as soon as a computer is available. It also recognized the vendor name as Blue Yonder IT Services. And it starts with the process. So it provides some screenshots so you can follow what the agent is about to do. So soon we will see a screenshot with, yeah, this screenshot where it opens this website and it tries to log in with the stored credential we provided. So it always tells me what it's about to do. It tries to sign in. It's clicking the username field. So it recognized the username field. I don't know if you can see it, but I see here that it typed in something. And now it tries to type in the password as well. Preparing to enter password. Oh no, something went wrong. Let's try again. Not sure, maybe the password was not the correct one. Let me verify. Okay. Domain is correct. Let's see if we can start it again. Another test. Okay, start it again. Let's see if the password was wrong or if something else is not right at the moment. Typed in the demo username, password. Clicking sign in button. Now it worked. So you can see it was able to access the approved vendor list. And now it should use the search bar because I asked in the instruction to use the search bar. It did that. And now it's returning that the vendor is an approved one. I don't know why it didn't work before. Maybe I was too nervous to enter the password correctly. So yeah, it tells me it's an approved one, but please also provide invoice reference and invoice date. I didn't do that before. So it asks me now. That's the reference and the date, invoice date. And now it should do the posting. The bill has been successfully posted and the finance approval process has been initiated. So now I should get, I should get an approval request. And it's from today, the right time, and it also has the information that it's about the mobile app launch and 150,000. And I'm going to say yes, approve. And then it should take a moment, and then it should update in the Dataverse here. Yeah, it's here and it's approved. Let's go here and see if that also worked. Yeah, so the new amount spent here is 188,000. If I going to, let's refresh here. I'm going to ask the agent now what the budget is. Test. What is the budget for the project? Mobile app launch project. The name. That's not necessary, but sometimes clear prompts provide the right answers. Yeah. So the new spend amount is 188,000, and it's way over budget. So that worked. So that was computer use. These was all the free features I mentioned in the beginning. One additional information. I said that computer use is only available in the US region. So what I do, because I'm in Switzerland and I have a tenant in Europe, in Switzerland, hosted in Switzerland. So I'm just in the Power Platform Admin Center, I create another environment and then I say create and I use the US region for testing. And I'm going to say that is a of type development. Let's wait here. So I can show it. And then you can test this feature if you want. If you are not in the US region and you still want to try it, you can do that. You can also, if you have a Copilot license and you have the paid license and you have the researcher agent, you can also use it here. So you can say, for example, then you can say use computer use, and then you can send it and it does a similar process with the screenshots, and you can also ask the researcher agent to open websites and log in. So it's quite the same thing. No, I don't know. Yeah, here, so you can go with United States, and then you can say developer, and then you can create an environment where you can create a Copilot Studio agent where you can use this computer use feature. So I think that's it. We have time for Q&A if you have questions. I hope it showed you something new, you learned something, and I hope it inspired you to create another agent or a similar agent.
Really great job.
Good job, really. This was amazing. I mean, I have a question of mine that it just came up to my mind. So basically, while I was watching the demo, something that really stood out here is like how the Copilot agent interacts with different kinds of services like websites, even Teams, as I saw. So do you think that this kind of an AI decision support will become more common in the following years, let's say, or not even years, maybe even like months?
You mean Copilot Studio, or you mean all of these tools together, or
tools like generating these agents that will help like automate processes that until now have been done manually, like for example approving a financial budget, or like
yeah, I think so. I get more and more requests to create agents, or yes, some customers they still don't know what an agent is or what they can what it's about, and so I always show these tools, and then they are pretty much impressed what is possible to do. And yeah, I have created a similar agent like that for a customer. It is a bit more complex. I added more tools, and I, of course, the computer use is not part of it. But yeah, I think more and more organizations want to use agents like that in the company to handle these processes automatically.
Where do you see like this kinds of AI agents evolving? Like, can they, in your opinion, can they do even more than what they're doing now? Like, what's your predictions?
Yeah, they could do more. I think human in the loop is also always important. So as you could see here, I added, if an approval is required, I added this this option to say yes or no. So I think the agent should not execute the post directly without the confirmation of the user. But yeah, I see a lot of potential in HR and finance. This is a finance example, and also HR, project management. Yeah, in many areas.
I think there is a question in the comments, or not a question. I think it's a statement, but he's mentioning that it's a real pain that you can't use large documents, PDFs. Contracts are sometimes really big, and my clients ask for this feature. Is that something you're facing as well?
Yeah, then I often split it, but then I know it's it's a lot of work then to do to split it. But yeah, I get better results than if it's split and if it's only one topic per PDF. Also, I think I didn't mention scanned images. I also try to avoid scanned images, and yeah, sometimes I cannot just. If they have a PDF already prepared and they are expecting I can use that PDF without modifications just in the agent, sometimes doesn't work. For me, at least.
Yeah.
So there are still limitations, I guess, in the kinds of documents that that people can upload. But I think, in my opinion, if this gets sorted out in the future, and if people are able to upload even images or even contracts, as like the person in the comments mentioned, I think that it will be even more powerful. But still, as you mentioned, I think the human in the loop is a very important point, because I wouldn't let an agent alone decide whether, for example, in this case, for let's say a loan should be approved or not, or any other kind of decision. So I'll still keep the human there, just to follow what the agent does. And yeah, I think it's a really good use case that can be pretty much used in the coming future.
All right. I don't think there is any other questions. Do you have anything to add, Marco? Or?
I mean, this is a fascinating technology by itself. We actually use robot process automation at work, automating some business processes that from an application that doesn't have an API. So I've seen the power it has and the time it saves the business and the money it saves the business. So it's really powerful, and it's getting even more powerful by the day. And I truly believe that in a few years' time, the agents will automate 90% of the work, and only a human needs to decide whether to go with option A or option B, and just monitor the agents and what they are doing. So this is really fun and a really comprehensive demo. So this is nice. Yeah.
Yeah. I just have one question before we end. What has been your like a project of yours that you have worked before using this Copilot agents, and that has left a significant mark on you? Like,
Yeah, as I said, I have created one similar agent like that for project financial control, and also for absences, and also I have created one agent for, so it monitors absences or sick leaves in the company, and if this person is not in the company, the agent sends a message via Teams to the team leader, and then lists the tasks that are due by that day for that person that is absent, and also the meetings. And then the team leader can decide if they want to reassign those tasks to another person, and to find out who can handle these tasks. The agent then uses people skills and finds out who has the skills in the company to take over those tasks. And then it does some suggestion. It says, oh, Chiara is sick today, so Tom could take over that task and Prashanti could take over another task. And then the team leader can then say, yes, reassign that task to another, to that person, or don't assign it. Let's wait. Maybe tomorrow she will be back. And yeah, that's also an agent that I have created that, helped one organization to handle this process, because it's a lot of effort. Then, if a person is sick, to go to the calendar, check the meetings, decide if it's an important meeting or not. So the agent also evaluates if it's an important meeting or not, based on, do they have external guests? Is it about a project that is urgent? It has some of these attributes. And then it's also a lot of work again then to go to the planner and see if this person has any tasks due by that date, or by tomorrow, or by yesterday, and then decide if they want to, who can take over that task. So it's 3 or 4 steps, and I have created a multi-agent for that. That's not part of that session, but that's also possible. Yeah.
Oh, that's really amazing. I mean, it's a very, how do I say, frequent use case that, people just at that time they really need it, and really it's really a wonderful example. I'm really glad that you have had like a chance to work on that. Okay, so nevertheless, Chiara, thank you again for sharing your knowledge and walking us through building an end-to-end Copilot Studio agent. This was like incredibly insightful, I guess, not only for us, but also for all the people that were watching us. So again, I really want to thank you all for joining us. I know that really the session was really practical, and Chiara showed a lot of things that you should definitely give it a try, especially in at your company, or just to try it out for yourself, because really this is a tool that can enable us to do wonders, and not in the future, but really now. So yeah, again, thank you all for joining, and see you at this time next month with another special speaker that we're gonna uncover the name really shortly. So I'm really expecting all of you to join us then. So have a good night, and see you. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
You too. Bye.
Bye.